About this problem that we all have as business owners, and I referred to it last time I was here, and that's the curse of knowledge. You see, we all assume that everybody knows what we know about our products, and that's just not the case. We assume that everybody shares the same vernacular about our products that we have. That's not the case either, okay? And so if you want to have a great blog, I tell this to everybody, go home, sit down, and write down the top 50 questions you get as a seller of your product. And not like you hear them, as the customer writes them in the search engine. Okay, because this is the core to your long tail keyword strategy. And so, for example, in our case, we sell heavy fiberglass swimming pools. So the number one question that a serious shopper is going to have is, how much does a fiberglass pool cost? Because we all want to know how much something costs when we get serious, right? Okay? That's number one. Write questions down and use that as the titles of your blog. So often our titles are just 2 or 3 words. Those stink. You need to answer the questions and write down the question as the title of your blog, even if it goes over 70 characters or whatever the character amount is, just as the person would say, because you are talking to the consumer. That's number one. Number two, and this is an area I was talking to my man Duncan here last night, because Duncan has written like 110 articles about fencing, right? And he said, man, I'm getting tired of, like, I run out of ideas. And I said, have you focused on the negatives? He said, well, what do you mean by the negatives? And let me tell you, the negatives is a huge key to blogging. Because when people want to buy something, they also want to know the problems about that product. And so he's got all these types of fence, right? Okay, so he's got chain link fencing, he's got aluminum fencing, he's got vinyl fencing. And so what we did last night, I said, okay, how about this one? Top 5 problems and solutions of white vinyl fencing. Top 5 problems and solutions of chain link fencing. And I said, now how many could you do just like that? How many is it, Duncan? How many fences do you talk about? Like 20, okay? So from one keyword phrase, which is problems of that item, he's got 20 new articles. But that's just one phrase. You could do complaints. What are the main customer complaints of vinyl fencing? What are the main customer complaints of aluminum fencing? Do you see? Because these are what people are typing in. They want to know the problems of your company. They want to know the problems of your product. And you need to beat your competitors to the punch. Address those problems, and then say what the solutions are. And there's 1,000 different ways that you can do this. What are the pros and cons of? What are the advantages and disadvantages of? And all of a sudden you start thinking this way, just like a consumer does, and you have 100 blog articles, and literally you've done it in like 20, I mean, I could, for any one of you, I'm not saying this, I'm like, ooh, look at me. For anybody came to me right now and said, this is what I sell, I could sit down in the next 10 minutes, I would have 100 killer long tail articles for a blog. It's that easy, and most of us overthink the process because we're not thinking like consumers. We're thinking like owners of our company, and so therefore we're suffering from the curse of knowledge. That's my biggest key to success when it comes to blogging. Start thinking like consumers, answer their questions, and focus on the negatives. You'll be very successful.